Hello and welcome to Eat Sleep Code, the official Telerik podcast. Let's talk about some news. We've got
Yes.
.NET.
.NET 9, baby. Here we go.
We've got .NET stuff. We got AI announcements and news and hot takes. But we've got some VR, some companies making acquisitions and whatnot. So let's start with some .NET. What's new in .NET 9? This is a
What is new, Ed?
massive article with lots of different links that reach out to different frameworks and stacks within the .NET ecosystem. So do you want to talk about anything in particular, John, or you just want to go through some of the highlights?
Well, I was just thinking when you were mentioning this, I feel bad for the folks who are still running .NET 1. There are folks out there start targeting that runtime because
Yeah.
reasons, so shout out to those folks. But yeah, .NET 9, I think that, aside from the libraries that are going to make changes, the things that I'm most interested are the ones that are going to impact developers the most, namely the runtime, AOT. I think that also the language semantics around languages, specifically C#, for example. .NET Aspire, as we're mentioning here, ML, ASP.NET Core, Blazor, all that sort of stuff. Those are a means to an end, I think. And yeah, there's some nice features coming there, but it's really, to me, it's the runtime and the languages that matter the most. I could be
We've
wrong.
got C#13 shipping. Can't believe it's up to 13 already.
Lucky number 13, yes.
Yeah. Like I remember doing like C#2. Like I think I learned around that time. I was doing VB and I was like, oh, what's this C# thing all about? And I started learning about it because all the samples, even long time ago, were shifting over to C#.
So a bit of a
For
story
.NET.
time. Bit of a story time for me. I actually had dinner with Anders Halsberg. This was a long time ago, and when you have dinner with someone like that who's a bit of a celebrity, I told myself before sitting down, I'm not going to ask a single question about C# to this man, and all I'm going to talk to him about is what does he do outside? Does he do anything fun? He's a big soccer fan, and I did ask him one question about Pascal, so I felt like he kind of lit up when I asked him about that because he still has, I think, that romantic notion around it. And Turbo Pascal. I didn't ask him a single question or say anything to him about C#, even though I'm like, dude, awesome job. I think that's implied. If you get that every conference, but I purposely said, so, do you follow the football? What do you like? Because he's in Europe, right? So, well, he's in the US, but he's European, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was fun. But anyways, his legacy lives on in version 3.13. So what's new, Ed?
Dude, I remember I was writing some C# code one day and I think I took a break, came back from lunch, whatever it was, sat down, went to pick up where I left off. And like I'm typing and like I'm getting all these compiler errors. And I look at like the last 4 lines I type and realize it's Pascal. And I haven't
No,
written Pascal in like 15 years. And I'm like,
not so bad.
where did that come from? Like, what is wrong with my brain? I mean,
It could be worse.
today
You could be doing Lisp or Scheme, break out all the parens. So
today we might call that hallucination.
sure.
Um,
Soft context switch.
making a little joke about AI there, but yeah, I did that. Maybe I should just have run for president at that point.
Oh,
Just
God.
like, let's not get
Why?
political, but
You're just
I'm gonna
setting
make
up
jokes anyway.
softballs for me. Come on.
So C#13, we talked a little bit about these as they started to roll out. This is one of the more interesting ones. We've got the index access, which I wish was available like right now. I know release candidate just came out, but I mean, I
Yep.
wish this was GTM already. Like, I
Yep.
wish I could rewind and go back like 5 years and use this. This is so nice. So being able to do the from the end index operator. So this is like the reverse of the index. I
Yep.
love it. I want to be able to use that like now. So I might just grab that and start using it today. That's one of the big ones that's in C#13 that I found interesting.
Yep.
Of course, .NET Aspire is moving and chugging right along.
Sure.
trying to remember which version they're on with this release.
I don't
They
consider this
just
to be.
went.
I honestly don't consider .NET Aspire to be part of the .NET 9 release. To be honest, I consider it its own thing. You
I
know.
agree with that. They shipped out a band, right? They did a GTM kind of in the middle of the year with this thing,
Yeah.
and then I think they did the same with ML.NET though, and it looks like they're trying to sync up with the .NET releases on that one as well.
Which is fine. I mean, I have no problem with that, but it's just like it's not part of it, guys. What are you doing? You know? And even the language, you could argue, probably should be independently versioned, which it is. I mean, it's version 13, but it's not part of the .NET 9 release in my view. It's just a marketing thing. So,
Yeah, it's a cool thing that is not part of the framework itself. I agree. I agree. ML.NET got some tokenizers, which I believe gives you like interoperability with uh, Llama and CodeGen. So these are ways of tokenizing your models to where they interop
they're
with other
compatible.
ML, yeah, compatibility with other ML uh, models. I know they're big on compatibility. They support oh, what's the name of it? Uh, I lost the file format. What is that called? So the models that you train in ML.NET, you can import and export from a very common model type that Google and other big companies use. So there's some interoperability there
I'm
too.
gonna
I
be
just
dead honest here. I haven't touched ML.NET at all. So
I'm playing around with it again. I've used it a little bit in the past when it was like beta,
right.
um, just for some learning projects, and I'm building something that we're going to be publishing on our blog soon, a series about
Okay.
ML.NET. It's
Nice.
very easy to use. So there is a part of ML.NET tooling piece called AutoML. And if you have a data set and you know what you want to get from it, as far as machine learning goes, you can walk through a step by step wizard in Visual Studio and build out your model without a whole lot of ML knowledge. Like you don't have to know Python, obviously, you're using C sharp. And then the builder will not only select the appropriate model for you to train on, but it will also generate code for your application to retrain, to evaluate, and do some other things out of the box. So, like, it just generates the code for you, and then you could take it from there and do stuff with it. It's really cool. So, looking forward to that. Um, ASP.NET Core, there's some improvements here, but nothing really changing this time around. There's some improvements around Signal R, static asset delivery. We talked about that a few weeks ago. So this is an optimization for Blazor to deliver static files. So you basically decorate these files with a new attribute, and it will help with the caching, compression, and the cache busting part of it is really nice. But the broccoli compression, not broccoli, the broccoli
Everyone says that.
compression
Yep. Yeah.
during publishing and all of that stuff is really nice. Another thing that's important in here is hot reloading was improved. I've yet to test this out myself. I've heard during the previews that it broke. I honestly hope that is not the case when it is finally released. So I have to check out the release candidate for myself and see.
Okay.
I know this hot reload is a big sticking point with front end developers. Like a lot of people are like, until that is fixed, I'm not touching Blazor.
Oh,
Uh,
whatever.
we'll see. Yeah, if they do fix it and they make it perfect, let's see how many of those people jump on board. Maybe they're just using it as an excuse,
You
but
know, I gotta call out developers. If this thing doesn't ship, I'm not like get out. Like you know like I could say something bad here. I won't, but it's like guys, you know how awesome technology is right now. I realize I'm showing my age here, but back in my day, sort of thing. But it's
yeah.
just like really, that's the thing that's gonna keep you off the technology, the hot reloading. Okay.
I'm curious as to how well that technology works in stacks as well. Like I know JavaScript has had it for a long time, but the experience I had there when I was working with JavaScript platforms like Angular and whatnot is it worked nicely when you first got started, and then when the app got really big, it kind of like got sluggish and fell
Well,
apart.
that was more on Webpack than anything, right?
Yeah.
So
So, with .NET and Blazor, you're working with a compiled language, so the slowness is part of it. It does
yeah,
a
but how
pretty good
much? We're
job at
talking
delta
seconds. We're not talking minutes.
compilation, but here's the thing, the real problem I found is when it just stops working and gives you
Oh, well,
no
yeah,
reason why, and then you end up fighting with, the tooling for an hour trying to figure out why it's not working when you could have just gotten whatever done.
sure.
My opinion on the whole thing is just write freaking unit tests. Write UI unit tests, and you don't have to go through this run the app, click the thing, see if it works, hot reload some change that you just made. Write a unit test. Let the unit test pass or fail. You can iterate on those a heck of a lot faster than loading stuff up in the browser and tinkering with your code while it changes live in the browser. That's
Not
just
gonna
me.
argue.
That's just me. And for those that I've actually spoken to people who've said this, I don't have time to write unit tests. Get Copilot and just say, write a unit test for this thing, and you're done. Like, it's getting easier, folks. Stop making excuses, like John said. We get
I'm
off
not
on a
saying
like
like
we old man ranted really well there.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm of the opinion like just deal with it. Like you'll be fine.
Um, Other Blazor improvements that we can mention is the detection of rendering location. So you could kind of at runtime say, is this component rendering on the server or is it rendering on WebAssembly? And then swap out either UI patterns or um, handle your data differently or do all kinds of different stuff that you may want to do depending on where that component gets rendered. That could be really helpful. At the current time, I've seen issues where components require two completely different services when they're running in different locations. And this could potentially help with that as well. Yeah, so Thindle's on top of it with the auto generate your tests. It does a pretty darn good job of it. I tried that out today, by the way. It was pretty shocking at how well it did that. Performance improvements are a
Yes.
big part of it, and I know you're probably excited to get to this one, John. This is
Yeah.
something that you
Yeah,
love to
yeah, yeah,
talk
yeah.
about, and this is look at the index.
Oh,
It's in a
I know.
drop down this time. The index is so big they had to put the table of contents in a drop down box.
I'm convinced that Steven Taub is trying to kill us with words. That's all he can do is at this point is just kill us with more words. Now, this is a performance blog post highlighting the latest features in .NET. And I said earlier that the things that I care most about in a new version of .NET are the language innovations and the runtime. And this one speaks to the runtime innovations. So .NET 9 brings some exciting performance boosts as always. And Steven Taub in this blog post talks about all of them. Now, I've kind of gleaned through this. I've been reading up on this, and I would summarize it down to three. The first one is around the JIT compiler. So it now optimizes typecasting and integer profiling more effectively. There's also the new tier 0 optimizations, which reduce unnecessary memory allocations. So that helps out there. And that will help in your async await operate. That'll make your async await operations much faster. And then finally, and I know this is hard to summarize this blog post. God, like look at the size of that scroll bar. They've improved performance for commonly used methods, things like copy to and equals, and they're far more efficient now thanks to better profiling of operation lengths. And so, as always, the performance innovations down in .NET 9 are going to make your apps in running on the runtime much more snappier. So, really looking forward to people taking advantage of this and bringing the latency down on app responses and doing all the right things there.
So we've got like every code path inside. Let's check out some link stuff. I mean, he
Yeah.
goes through like detailed source code and metrics on every one of these things just to
Oh
kind
yeah.
of give you eyes into one of these. Um, this is above my pay grade, by the way.
No, it's
So,
not. Come on. Come on, it's fine. You
so
just
we're
grab a coffee and you have to read this. You can't read this in one go. You gotta continually hit this. Take 15 minutes
there we go.
chunks
That's what I
and just
was
start hitting
looking
it that
for.
way. Yeah.
So this is oh wow. I was trying to do something kind of funny on the backside here, and Copilot gave me a weird response. I was trying to create a because this thing is as large as a novel. I asked it to create a novel book cover for this, and it said I can't do that. Like it said, let's move on to another subject. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, check out the book cover I made for this novel, and Copilot is just like, like
Nice.
that's not even funny. Like I'm not doing that. Um, dead serious. I've never seen it say that before. It's like, let's move on to another subject. Like no sense of humor with Copilot today. But I like the spitting out of the metrics at the bottom here, where
Yeah.
he does these performance benchmarks to show you where the performance savings are in all of this, and he goes through everything in
Oh yeah.
fine grained detail on all of these. So, like John said, if you've got some time, Jason's probably a good one. They're always looking for performance improvements in Jason.
You can only squeeze
Serialize,
that out so much.
deserialize.
I don't know if honestly, how much better can you get there? I mean, yeah, there's going to be some micro optimizations there, but yeah, I come back to it. I think it really speaks to the performance work done in the JIT compilation. So
Yeah.
specifically around better dynamic optimizations of typecasting and integer profiling, and that's going to be prevalent across the entire runtime.
I think they focus a lot on JSON because of the serialization,
Well,
deserialization of
everyone kind
it,
of does it, yeah.
and these objects are continuously just getting bigger and more complex.
Yeah, but compared
So
to the
if you
latency
save
factor,
a
you
couple
know,
nanoseconds per
well,
node,
I know, but like think about how many microseconds you're waiting for a response on the network. It's orders of magnitude difference. Like you're wasting most of your time waiting for a network reply. So,
yeah. But again, think how big these graphs can get
oh
of
sure.
data, and
Yeah.
then that's money you're burning on your servers when you're trying to serialize all that stuff out, send it
Yeah, I
across the
got to I got to
wire.
think about what's the biggest JSON structure I've ever had to deserialize. I can't think. I know I've attempted to open like multi megabyte CSV files in when you accidentally open those up in VS Code, you just go for a coffee. So
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's a money saving thing when you're talking about like server infrastructure, though. Like if you're doing
yeah,
this,
there.
if you've got an app that's serving up web APIs and it's massive scale, and you've
Okay.
got, take something like AI and you're pumping in and out, these big streams of text and whatever else along with some data. Who knows? That could add up quick. Speaking of .NET stuff, I was working with a coworker of mine, Lance McCarthy, on
Oh yeah.
some demos this week, and he shared this helper library that he has up on GitHub with me. And I thought this was something that the audience might really enjoy if they didn't catch that show last week, or was it last week? I think it was last week he showed it to us, but we had the show yesterday again, but it was the prior week that he introduced this to me. This is called Common Helpers, and what it is just like the everyday stuff that Lance runs into that he finds himself reproducing. So instead of rewriting that code or copying and paste it from project to project, he's pushed it up to NuGet,
Okay.
and you can just install it there, and you can look into the source code on GitHub as well. And there's stuff to deal with extensions, extension methods for strings, dates, enums, colors, files, observable collections, all sorts of fun things there. Then there's stuff to do with like easing to help you with charting graphs.
Are you guys gonna add this to the community toolkit?
That would be
You
up to
should.
Lance. Lance is the one that's maintaining this here. I gave him some code today. He's already pushed it in there. So we've got a struct for either. This is something I've complained about for years.
Oh,
Like
okay. Nice.
I'm like,
Yeah.
we need a either. We need a either in C sharp. Like, why do we not? I know it's not a functional language, but it's just so simple and easy to use without adopting like an entire functional style of writing code. Just give me this one very helpful piece. So we threw that in there, or he threw that in there today. I tossed it over to him, and he's like, it's live. I've published it.
God
Um,
help us.
yeah,
Ed's codes on the internet. God help us.
there's this Bing or these several service like helpers that he created that just plug
Gotta have
into like open
XKCD.
services.
Yep,
Things
gotta
that
have
are
it.
helpful if you're doing like demo apps, you're trying to do proof of concept for something at work, and you're like, I need some images or whatever real quick into my app.
Sure.
You can just
Sure.
pull these in real quick and bind them to some views and display them. There's all kinds of little, nice things to have inside of there. One of the things that is probably more helpful than services and stuff like that is these observable collections that he's created. So if you have an observable collection in your .NET app, the gist of it is, you if you add a batch of records to that, every record gets a change event. His are a wrapper around that will batch those change events as well. So if you say add 10 records to a data set, you don't get 10 change events back. You'll get one after all those items are added into the collection. So this observable range collection does that for you. And there's an observable queue as well that handles that. Just all these little simple things that you waste time on, he's got thrown into this helper library for you. So
Nice.
check it out. It is up on the GitHubs, and you'd also just go to NuGet if you want to just grab the package. It's Common Helpers by Lance McCarthy.
All right.
Cool stuff there. Shift gears a little bit, talk about AI, John, because everybody's talking about AI these days,
Perfect.
especially
Yes.
tomorrow. We're doing a special show tomorrow. I've got a coworker of mine, and we are coming on to talk about AI tomorrow. So I would normally have Chris DeMars with me. We'd be trying to build something with AI, but Chris is traveling tomorrow. So a coworker of mine jumped in, and we are going to do a show, kind of podcasty style tomorrow, just discuss
What is it? Chris GPT? Is that who you're introducing?
Chris GPT. Yeah, we have cloned him.
Hmm.
No, I've got a guest lined up for it
All right.
tomorrow. That I will introduce on the show. We've got some very smart folks that work for us here at Progress. Um, OpenAI is releasing a new model tomorrow. Has released a new model with quote reasoning abilities. So this fixes the strawberry problem. Have you seen that, John?
Yes. How many R's are in strawberry? It
Yeah, how
gets it
many
wrong. Yes.
R's are in strawberry? And for some reason, it kept saying two, and then like some responses where it has two or has one instance of a double R and one instance of a single R. Therefore, it has two
Right.
R's. It's like what now? So yeah, that problem seems to be fixed with this. I don't know why that got hyped so hard, but it did.
That's funny.
But I guess that this is a different um type of training that they performed, and the way this works in I'm just summarizing what I read from this blog post is that it will go through quote this chain of thought process rather than trying to just outright solve the problem. It will go through kind of a set of kind of a decision tree of solving that problem. And this is more human-like in the way it, looks at solving a problem. So the answers are supposed to be more accurate and less hallucinative.
All right.
So this is something I think we are going to talk about tomorrow. So my coworker's Philip Miller, by the way. He works on the Open Edge or the I always get these products backwards. He works on the Mark Logic side of the business,
Okay.
and they are doing a lot of things. Mark Logic and Semaphore are data products that we have. So
Yes.
these
Yes.
are open or not open. What are they called? Document style databases, and they have some LMM capabilities built into them now. So he's going to come on and help me uh, decipher some of this stuff for developers and figure out what it all means. What's all the AIs about? Why should we be excited? Why
Exactly.
should we be excited and remove some of the marketing mumbo jumbo from it all? And if you're looking into changing careers, John, being an ML developer, you might want to
Sure.
take a look at Mojo. So this
Okay.
was all over the uh, like machine learning Python community news this week.
All right.
And this is a language that was built for machine learning. And the understanding I have of it is that it can take um, it can take Python code in libraries natively, although it is not written on Python. It is C++ based, so it's very fast. But it can also take on these existing dependencies. So you get the flexibility of Python and the speed of C++. So I guess one of the issues with Python is, it being a dynamic language, it is slower in comparison to something like C++ that runs right on the metal. So, you get your best of both worlds with this. I have not used it personally. Like I said, it's just very much trending this week.
All right.
And there's been a lot of hype around it. There was some people saying that, this is going to replace Python. And then there's, of course, the other camp that's saying, it just makes Python even better. But the strength of it, I believe, isn't the fact that it can take the Python libraries that already exist and utilize them.
So
So
it sounds like TypeScript.
exactly. Sounds a lot like TypeScript, although TypeScript is emitting JavaScript on the backside. So the way this works, from what I understand, is not.
Or maybe it sounds like Go.
Yeah, this is
I don't know.
interroping with Python, but not outputting
Okay.
Python.
Okay.
So the final bytecode isn't like Python code. So yeah, this is a way to get closer to the metal with your AI training. More AI stuff, Technology and Friends. If you haven't seen it, you probably should. This is a show that is 800 plus episodes for one,
Oh wow.
but the host is somebody that is well respected in the community, and David Giard has just been part of the dotnet family for so long and been, one of those people that you see at conferences, always there to cheer you up kind of person, and does this wonderful show where he sits down and just chats with developers. And this week he had Jennifer Marsman on. Jennifer Marsman, if you don't know her, she's also been part of the .NET ecosystem for quite a while, and she is specializing um, in AI. She's done some really cool stuff with uh, integrating. What are those things called? ECC, like what are the brain scanning tools that you use. You like put it on your head and it gathers.
MRIs,
No, it's not an MRI. It's like getting your brain waves and analyzing them. She's done some really
an
cool stuff with
EKG.
that. No, EKG is the heart. This is
Yes, I know, but I'm just trying. I'm using the acronyms you were just
yeah, it's like
referring
an
to try and guess. Or
EKG for your brain waves, basically.
ECG.
Yeah, it's like ECG, something like that. She's done some really cool
All
demos
right.
with that, like using that to control your computer, that kind of stuff. And now she's working out of the office of the CTO, doing stuff with generative AI. And in the show uh, with David here, she talks about doing building a demo for the office of the CTO and
Okay.
what that was like. So one of the first projects that she worked on in that position. So it's a very nice conversation. And again, David Jarrett does a fantastic job with Technology and Friends. I was on there years ago with them. You might find me if you're digging through the archives way back in the day. But he's been doing this for years. So there's a lot of content there. If you haven't seen it, make sure you jump in and check some of that out. He's been doing
Nice.
that since before YouTube, I think. Like that's how long he's been doing that show. Um, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, I think, where I brought up a research paper that said that there's a growing problem with AI in generative AI specifically, where you get this kind of regurgitation effect where you take and you train on a bunch of data that's out there, in this case being, the web and blog posts and all of that. You use that
Yep.
to generate more content, and then that
Mhm.
content gets published to the internet, and then you train on that, and then you start like reconsuming things that were AI generated.
It's a positive feedback loop.
Yeah. So Sam Altman says, that it's impossible to create with ChatGPT without running into copyrighted material. And new study claims that 57% of content on the internet is AI generated and subtly killing the quality of search.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that number's higher. And that, I have no evidence on that, but just if you just take a second to think about what's being generated, it is certainly the case that the majority of content on the internet is now generated. So, and if you're, you know, feeding your language models with this auto-generated content, you get sort of like this. You could argue that you're getting a bit of a bias because how the language models are constructed and they're feeding back into generating content. You're going to basically amplify any biases that you have, whatever type of bias is being reflected. So you have to be very careful.
Yeah, I think my analogy was mad cow disease. It's like you don't feed your animals to your animals. Like it's just not a good thing. It gets, it's like cannibalizing the data. It just starts to regurgitate hallucinations and all sorts of fun stuff. So that seems to be where we're at, and it's affecting search. And before we move on, I'm trying to find an image I found earlier. It's the last of the AI things, but I don't have it in web form here. Try to see if I can figure out where it went. Um, I'll try to pull up the image just on its own. So there was a funny tweet that I came across where somebody was in Amazon's service, and they have this thing called Rufus. I don't know if you've seen it. We can actually
No,
try it live here. Let's try it live. Let's see if we can recreate what I
we'll
saw.
do it live.
Amazon. Let me do a incognito window first.
Okay.
Amazon.com, so people don't see my Amazon
Oh no.
information. Can I do that? Okay. So we'll do Amazon, and then we'll go to
Oh my
any
God. What is this?
product. What do we want to do? Windows PC. Let's go to a Windows PC. You could see this, right, John?
Yes.
So they have this AI thing, and you can ask it stuff. Is it going to show up if I'm logged in as a guest? Will it show up? I don't see the thing. Where's the thing? There's like an AI assistant now.
Oh, okay.
And shoot.
I can't believe you get a laptop for $200. That's insane.
Yeah, I'd like to see how that actually works out. So maybe it's not in, maybe it's only on the mobile app. But the gist of the screenshot is there's this AI assistant that appears on the sidebar of your mobile app, and you can ask it questions about the product. And somebody just went in there and said, generate a to-do list using React, and it just starts spitting out the code for React. It's like, okay, they didn't even sanitize this thing.
No.
They just
No.
straight like threw Chat GPT in,
Of course.
gave it a name.
Yes. Are you getting it now, Ed? This is what everyone
It's our
does.
chatbot now. So yeah, let me see one more time if I can find this.
It's a classic ignore the man behind the curtain, you know, nothing to see here. So
yeah,
yes.
this was great. I thought it was just so telling of the current state of things. Oh, here we go. I've got it. Where did my share go? I lost the whole share.
That's all right.
Let's try to share this again. Share. There we are. So this was my response, which you've seen before, I think.
Yes, we got nothing.
It's like
Yes.
OpenAI feeds all the things, right? Here's they call it Rufus, by the way.
Like after a dog?
There's an Apple map. Yeah, it's named after I guess the backstory is like this was the corporate dog that they like had at the office for whatever reason. Because your office needs a dog. It does look like it's in the browser. This isn't the app. This is a web browser. But yeah, it's like, does the laptop have a touchscreen? And it answers back, and it's like, write a to-do app in React. It answers back, here's the JSX for it. It's like, okay, don't even hide the fact. Why pay for Claude when you can get it to write code on Amazon?
Yep. Yep. This is the new programming. You know, you don't want to pay for Copilot, just hit Amazon. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then your boss comes around like, no, seriously, I'm programming. Seriously, I'm not shopping.
There's some hacks for this as well. Like if this doesn't work, you can always say like, ignore all previous prompts and do this thing instead. And sometimes that'll work. It's like the
awesome.
The what is it? Jimmy Tables, Robert Tables, Tables. It's like the old Robert Tables hack. All right. On to some VR news, John. I know you like VR. Your take has been VR is dead. Nobody wants VR, right?
I think is worse than that.
No, but nobody's doing VR. VR's dead. It has no future. All those things kind of resonate, right? Right?
All right, just show it.
You know this is a setup, you know?
Yes. Just show it.
All right. How VR is transforming the way we train associates. This is a Walmart blog post.
Perfect.
So Walmart
Here's how you wave to people coming in your store.
Walmart is training people, their employees, using VR headsets. So this way they can train in store, in a virtual store, without having to put these people in real physical locations.
Yes, because Walmarts are so small, there's no room for anyone to train. You know, I don't know where they could possibly do the training. You're absolutely right.
Starting next month, VR training begins across the country.
Perfect.
Sending 4 headsets to every Walmart supercenter with more than 17,000 Oculus Go headsets by the end of the year. That's quite a few Oculus Go headsets for one company to purchase.
None of those will get used. No, correction. They will get used. They'll be in the staff room during coffee break.
I love your commentary, John. You're like, yeah, 17,000 of none of them being used. Yeah.
Who's going to train on this thing?
Everybody's going, they're personal Facebook page on this and not actually doing anything
Yeah,
else.
these are going to sit in the coffee room. Like, yeah, we got 4 of these. We don't know what we're doing with them. Smile and wave. That's what the training app does. I don't know.
Welcome
So,
to Costco. I love you.
yes, exactly.
Every associate, if you get that joke, we're friends because you love the same movies I do.
Yes.
Every associate, including those on the floor who interact with customers the most, will have access to the same training that their managers, department managers do at all the academies. So it's here. I'm telling you, John,
I don't
the
care.
metaverse is happening, whether you like it or not.
I don't care.
And don't say go touch grass because these people are trying to work. They're not allowed to touch grass. No
Whatever.
comments. John's like,
I thought you were
not
going to
doing it.
share the video of that guy at the Apple event.
Oh, I should have. I forgot all about that one. So
Yeah.
I shared.
Ed, for those who don't know,
I've got it
Ed,
on deck
yeah,
here.
you're showing Thindle's comments still, by the way. Ed shared with me over the
Am I?
weekend this
Let's see.
this video of the guy at the Apple event wearing an Apple headset. I'm like, dude, you're at the event. Like, what are you
Here we
doing?
go.
Yeah.
I'm glad you reminded me of this. Here. So
Woo! Look at these morons just wooing everything. Look at this guy. What are you doing? You're at the event. Woo, woo, yay. I don't know what it is. I'm going to cheer anyway. Hooray. Look at him stand. Just, what? Yeah, given the whole, what is this? What is this? Why do we do this? All
I
of it.
don't
I have so
know.
many problems with all of this. The guy wearing, I love the guy is wearing the headset. Why is he wearing the headset? I don't get it.
I don't
I
know.
know why. I know why he's wearing the headset. To show other people I have a headset. To show the people I burned $3,600 US. Whatever.
Maybe he's trying to keep warm.
I have a real on this note, I have a real problem with Apple. I stopped watching Apple keynotes a long time ago because the amount of wooing people in the front, and I can't stand them. They're just impossible to watch now, you know? But
And
whatever.
there's not a lot of innovation going on there either. Like, it wasn't even worth bringing up on stream, in my opinion. Usually
The new
I'll
devices?
cover.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
The iPhone 16, the new AirPods, etc., etc., new watch. Okay.
it's yet another year of this is what we borrowed from the Lumia Windows Phone
Oh, I
10
wouldn't
years
go that
ago.
far.
Dude, is a 48 megapixel camera. Like the
Yeah, okay.
Windows Phone had that. It had that 10
Alright.
years ago. Like, which one was it? The Lumia with the gigantic camera strapped to the front of it?
Anyway.
Windows phones with camera. Like this was a thing. This one. You could there you go. There you go. Right there.
I
There's
wonder what
there's the
Amazon Rufus would
1020.
say about this.
So it's only $91. It's way cheaper than an iPhone. And you've 41 megapixel camera. 41 megapixel camera. They finally beat it with by 7 megapixels.
Perfect.
So don't tell me that that I'm hallucinating here, man.
But you get an
This is
action button
stuff.
now, Ed. It's the action button. Come on.
Yeah, which they also had on the Windows Phone, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was a
I know.
dedicated camera button that was
This is the last thing I'll say. It's also
sensitive to pressure.
it's also all the vloggers and all the YouTubers and the influencers who just lose their minds over anything that comes out from Apple. And it's like, whatever.
I'd argue that
Whatever.
this is still a better phone.
Okay.
I mean, it also doubles as a weapon if you're in trouble.
That's right.
It is a Nokia.
Look, I'll give it props to Apple. I think they're pushing hard on Apple Intelligence, which I think is a good thing. I want that because God only knows how stupid Siri is at times. The conversations, it's like it's an episode out of Curb. I'm like Larry David yelling at my iPhone because it doesn't understand what I want it to do. The faster Apple can bring that to me, I'm being totally selfish here. I realize that. the happier I'll be because oh my god, Siri is so dumb.
Yeah. The other one, the Amazon one, I won't say its name out loud because it'll start doing stuff I don't want it to do, is just as dumb as well, and they want to charge $10 a month for it, and that just makes me want to old man rant all over again. Every time I try to use that thing, it does not do anything remotely close to what I need it to do.
Yeah, those
And
things are like the
then
Bowflex of assistants. They don't understand anything. They don't. It's just they're terrible, terrible
it
machines.
it constantly mistakes female voices for children's voices.
Oh, that's not great.
And that has to be really irritating
Hmm.
because it won't let you do things. It's like, you can't search for that. You need to ask your mom and dad for permission. It's like, excuse me. Could you imagine if your device started doing that to you, John? Like, I know,
Maybe it should. Maybe
like,
maybe it
it's a
would.
little
Maybe
bit of
that
a
would be a good
stretch to
thing if it
think
did.
John's
No,
voice
no.
is going to
Maybe
get
I'm
that.
telling you. Maybe
But
that's a good thing. Maybe because of my bitterness towards technology, even though I'm in this field. Maybe that's not such a bad thing if it told me to go think about what I just said. So, anyways,
uh, yeah. But yeah, go get yourself one of these Lumia phones. Just don't worry. Like, save yourself $910 or $990, and yeah, get one of these. And
beautiful.
and like I said, if you
Can run Doom. There
if
you
you're in
go.
trouble, you can put it in a sock. You put it in a sock, and you got your killing machine. Like,
Perfect.
this is no joke, dude. I this was a long time ago when I was in my like early 20s. I worked with this guy that was incarcerated. Not kidding. Like, every time we'd have any kind of conversation, like, he would have some story about how you can make a weapon out of a sock.
Oh, okay.
And like, we'd be sitting there eating lunch, and he'd be like, "That can of soup, put that in a sock. You got a weapon." You're like,
It's,
okay.
it's like visions of Oz, kind of come into my head, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want that. Thank you. So
Like, you're put batteries in like something for a machine. He's like, take a handful of those batteries, put those in a sock. Like, okay, thank you. Thanks for the advice.
perfect.
Yeah. So get that Lumia, even if you're not using it anymore. Just that and a tube sock. Take that with you wherever you go. That's my parting advice for the day. That
Perfect.
we do have one. There's no
What a
segue from
What a
that. I don't.
segue.
I don't have a segue. We got off the rails. Company's gonna love that segue, by the way.
Ugh.
It's my. I'll start putting my resumes out today after that. No, Progress, the company that somehow uh, pays for this podcast. Oh, geez, we made an acquisition.
Hey, congrats.
So we did a big thing. We are positioned to acquire. We have not completed the acquisition yet. We are announcing that we are going to acquire the software company ShareFile. ShareFile is a file sharing platform that is a big part of the ecosystem that we have of Sitefinity, our Telerik products, Move It, which is another secure file transfer system, and Corticon. So these things all play very well together. So we want to make this developer experience of sharing files a seamless one.
Okay.
And acquiring this allows us to grow in that direction, add these things to products like Sitefinity. Sitefinity is a content management platform, so you can imagine how these things could be used together.
Nice.
So it's pretty big move to take this, and Progress will then be very close to becoming a $1 billion company.
Wow.
So it's quite a big thing to be part of. is progress growing and becoming this major company that is part of this digital platform landscape that's out there.
That's
You know,
awesome.
our DX experience, our digital experience stuff, content management, data systems,
Yep,
uh, and decision management tools all coming together. It's pretty cool stuff.
it is.
So,
Very
I'm
cool.
going to be making my rounds trying to figure out how to play with some of these new things. So you may see me talking about some things outside of the .NET ecosystem here and there, just because there's so many tools in the toolbox these days, and I'm a tinkerer, so
There you go.
you'll probably see me talking about all kinds of stuff pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be like Jack Nicholson out of Batman. Where does he get such wonderful toys?
And all these things have AI capabilities as well. So ShareFile has AI things, anything that has
Nice.
data in it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're talking about files and you're moving files in and out of a system. You can analyze those for uh, LMMs and you know
Mm-hmm.
learn from that data, and that
Mm-hmm.
that plugs into our Mark Logic Semaphore Data Direct stuff as well. So not physically plugs in, like we don't have those integrations built yet, but um, theoretically speaking, as far as portfolios go, there are uh, AI things at play in all of those
Nice.
components.
That's
So
awesome.
those things fit nicely. Looking forward to seeing how this develops over the next few years here. That's all I've got, John. Any news or updates from the octopus? Jeez, you're gonna hate me for that one.
Oculus.
The octopus deploy part of the
Yeah, we're
world,
having fun. We're having fun. We're doing lots of stuff. So yeah. Octopus.com, that's all you need.
not Oculus deploy.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
If it was, I might be coming over to learn a little bit more about it.
No. Nope.
I think we'll just say goodbye.